Greetings from Cybertron. This is SoundJack here with Alyssa. None of you have met Alyssa yet, but we've recorded some stuff with Alyssa, and she will be on the channel soon. But for now, this is her first recording, so say hi, Alyssa.
Hello, everyone. So I want to say two things first. One, we're doing this through Skype because I live in New Jersey and Michael lives currently in Baltimore, although that will be changing soon, right?
Yes, very soon.
So because of that, we're doing a recording thing. We're doing it through Skype. I'm recording. We are recording the audios on our phone. And I am in a room that has a very loud dehumidifier in it, so you might hear that in the background of my recording. And also, I'm currently wearing noise-canceling headphones, so I might be a little louder than I would be otherwise. So just bear that in mind with this recording.
Yeah, and I'm just recording off of my phone, and I have absolutely no idea how great that's going to be, But regardless of all of that, today we are here with this episode of SoundJack's Rambles to discuss TFCon DC 2017.
Woo! Hype! Get on the hype train.
Yes.
Woo, woo.
So, if you don't know, TFCon DC is a convention for Transformers. It is a fan-run convention. There used to be an official Hasbro promoted Transformers convention, but they have removed that in favor of the family event HasCon, which apparently succeeded a couple of weeks ago.
Wait, so is family like a pun on fan? Like fan-mily?
Yes.
Oh, okay,
yes.
I see. So that wasn't just me, that was intentional.
That's intentional marketing.
Go Hasbro, I guess, for that.
Yeah, but TFCon is a fan convention. Like I said, there's 3 different conventions: one in Canada, one in DC, and one in Chicago. The one we'll be going to is this coming weekend of September 29th to October 1st of 2017.
As opposed to 2018 or 2020, you know.
Well, if there's someone watching this in the future.
Oh, good point. Good point.
So they're not thinking, wait, that doesn't make sense.
Right.
But yeah, that's this coming weekend, and we both will be going. Alyssa will be coming down to my place, and we will be driving to the convention since Baltimore's close enough to Ruston, Virginia.
Yep.
It's not actually in DC, even though it's in the name of the
It's in the DC metro area, so it technically counts. Technically.
Close enough.
You can't see my air quotes, but I am currently making air quotes around DC area.
Yeah.
So just have that mental image, I suppose.
Yeah. So we're going to TFCon this weekend. We'll be there Saturday and Sunday. There's not a whole lot going on Friday. And Alyssa's coming down on Friday, so we wouldn't be able to make it anyway.
Yes. Also, I have work that day, so I wouldn't be able to make it even if I wasn't coming down, if I was coming down early or something. So
yeah,
there's that too. But
yes, but while we're at the convention, we're gonna do a vlog at the convention, which will be posted to the channel at some point after I get the editing done. Mm-hmm. And there will also be a post-convention talk. Talking about like our thoughts of the convention and what we got and stuff like that. But for now, we're going to be doing a kind of a Q&A type thing where we're going to talk about our expectations for the convention and also a bit about our previous convention experience. So let's get right into these questions. The first question we have is, how many conventions have you gone to? So Alyssa, you can start.
You want me to start?
Yes.
All right, cool. So I have been to a total of 6 different conventions. Some of them I've been to more than once, several times. Some of them I've only been to once. The first convention that I ever went to was the big boy himself, NYCC, or New York Comic Con, if you want to say it full. That one is actually taking place the weekend after TFCon, and I will also be there this year, although I think I'm only going Sunday, maybe late Friday. I wasn't able to get tickets for Saturday, unfortunately. But so if you're there, you might see me there. And then I've been going to Comic-Con for pretty consistently since 2011-ish, all the way till now. So that's probably the one I've gone to the most. Since then, I've been to Castle Point Anime Convention, which is a smaller convention in Hoboken, New York. It's at Stevens Institute of Technology, I think. And that one takes place around April. When I used to go to that one, I was still in high school, and it was a single-day convention. They only did Saturdays, but I think it's gotten bigger, and it's a full weekend now. I haven't been there since high school, but that might change. I might consider going next April. And then the next one I go to is Anime Next. That one I've been going to for a while. I went there consistently until it moved from Somerset, New Jersey to Atlantic City. And that one's pretty large. And then I've been to... These ones I've only been to once. I've been to JCon, which is in Pennsylvania. I've been to Garden State Comic Fest, which is probably the most recent convention I've been to. And then I've been to BookCon, which is in New York, and it takes place in the Javits Center, same place that NYCC takes place in. So that's my overview. I've been to lots of different conventions, and I have a lot of experience with going to conventions.
For me, I've definitely not done as many conventions as Alyssa has. I've only been to JCon. I've done that twice, though. JCon was my first convention. It was a pretty small convention. It was at a college, so that shows you how small it is. But it was impressive, like, what they were able to do with it being a college and student-run convention. Next was Anime Next. I went with Alyssa. She also went with me the second time I went to JCon, but I also went to Anime Next with Alyssa as well, and that was like my first like real convention, and I was a bit overwhelmed with all of the people there.
It's kind of funny that you say that, because as someone who's been to like New York Comic-Con, the fact that you're overwhelmed by Anime Next is kind of funny to me. But since like New York Comic-Con is just, if you find Anime Next overwhelming, Comic-Con is just sensory overload. But I mean, I will say that year you went, Anime Next was the biggest year that I've ever seen for Anime Next, which is why they moved to Atlantic City instead of staying in Somerset.
Mm-hmm. And then the last convention I went to was BookCon, also with Alyssa.
we do a lot of things together.
Yeah,
Who would have thought?
Right?
Excuse
me.
Yeah.
You are excused.
So, yeah. So you've been to the same conventions that I have, and you have a more smaller experience with conventions than me.
Yes.
So that's kind of where we stand on conventions and our history with them.
Yes. Second question: what are you looking forward to the most at TFCon?
I think you should take this first, because you have more interesting things to say than I do.
Okay.
About this.
I'm just mostly I'm just excited to be like in a large group of people that share my Transformers interests, because while I talk about Transformers a lot on my channel and I talk to my friends a lot about Transformers, most of them aren't like really interested in Transformers, and more so like are interested because I'm interested. I feel like
I feel like that in some ways that's true. For FYI, for people tuning in, my exposure to Transformers has been either A, through the Bay movies, which is pretty shameful, or B, through Michael. And so my experience with it is very peripheral. So I think that's that's true. Like I don't think any of our mutual friends or anyone that I know is like a huge Transformers fan.
Yeah, at most people are familiar with the movies, and some of them have seen some of the other cartoons and like, oh yeah, that's cool, but none of them like can really engage me on like, oh, did you see this come out? Oh, did you hear about these leaks coming out? Ooh, and stuff like how people would get excited for other things.
Right.
So that'll be nice to like, hopefully like meet some of those types of people there in such a like dedicated environment. I'm also excited about a bunch of the guests coming. That's a later question, but I'm definitely excited for guests. And definitely some of the panels, but that's again also a different question. Though I will say right now, the panel I'm looking most forward to is the live script reading auditions and reading.
Okay, sounds good. So for me, as I mentioned before, I am not a Transformers fan. I mean, I in some ways I respect Transformers for some things. I think the toys are really cool, just like in concept, and even in execution. But I'm not to the level of Michael. Like I don't know a lot of things. So for me, TFCon is really going to be more, what I'm most interested in is more of just diving into Transformers head first and just getting all that exposure. Outside of that, I don't really have anything that I'm like super like interested in specifically, and you'll see as we go through these questionnaires, I'm not gonna have a lot to say about specific stuff, like people that probably you would recognize, like I won't know who they are, and I won't have like, oh man, they're from this OG, like that's not gonna be what I'm doing. So really, as I said, like it's just gonna be me experiencing this fandom from an outsider's perspective and sort of that experience.
So for the next question, what events are you looking forward to? You can go next.
Okay, so this is again sort of repeat a little bit, but I mean I'm going to bring up the TFCon website right now so I can look a little bit. But as far as...
You should have had it up before.
I know. I'm a failure. As far as what I've seen, there's not anything that I'm like really engaged in. Maybe the only thing that I'm like, ooh, this might be interesting would be the costume contests, just because I feel like Transformers cosplay is just something I never thought about very much, and like I'm sure a lot of it's like really interesting, really impressive, so that would be something I'd be interested in. But outside of that, like most of these like people or like, you know, shows that they're streaming, you know, that's not really a thing that I'm like engaged in really, so.
For me, like I mentioned before, definitely the thing I want to do the most is the live script auditions and reading, because you gotta get my actor stuff in there, and if I could get into the script reading, that would just be awesome.
Yeah, that would be really funny. I think it would be cool to hear you do some reading and use your voice for things.
Yes.
That was like the vaguest way to describe voice acting. Use your voice for things. What? I know words. You could describe singing that way. Use your voice for things. Yeah, exactly.
Though I will say, I'm in general interested in most of the panels, especially like the Q&As with like James Roberts, the Beast Wars Q&A with David Kaye, the Generation 1 Q&A with those voice actors. Though I'm not interested on anything on Friday, which is a good thing since we're not going Friday.
Yeah, it would be a shame if you couldn't or didn't want to go or couldn't go because I'm coming down Friday. I'd feel really bad about that. I will say though, something that I noticed that's like not necessarily related but kind of is that this convention doesn't have a lot of overlapping events. A lot of the events are separate, so you could essentially, for the most part, go to every single panel and every single event without worrying about like missing one or something, which is really interesting. I don't go to many conventions that have like that kind of structure. Most of the time the panel, there's been times where I've been to a convention where there are two panels that I want to see and they're both happening at the same time, So it's like you have to choose between one or the other. But in this case, it doesn't seem to be very like common if that happens. So
yes,
that's a good thing.
It is, and I do. We'll probably see most of the panels. Probably not the third-party product preview at 3. I'm just not really interested in the third-party stuff.
Fair.
Do you know what third-party is, Alyssa?
Well, I'm assuming that's like either A, Transformers products that are not made by Hasbro, or B, stuff that's marginally related to Transformers that isn't toys, or even C, robot figures that aren't Transformers at all. Those are like my 3 guesses. They could, all 3 of them could be likely.
Okay. Third party refers to an outside party besides Hasbro and Takara Tomy, the main producers of Transformers, with Hasbro being most of the world and Takara Tomy taking care of Japan. Since those are the 2 main parties, a third party product is an original product based on designs owned by Hasbro and Takara, not a knockoff, which is taking a Hasbro Takara Tomy already developed toy and reselling it at a cheaper level and cheaper cost, but like creating an original toy with original engineering, or well, not necessarily original engineering, but like designing and making their own toy, but based on the existing product and just selling it as an alternative to what Hasbro and Takara Tomy are putting out.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, cool.
Technically, it's illegal because technically that should be like copyright infringement or something like that. IP infringement, I believe, is the proper term.
Right.
But Hasbro hasn't been all that dedicated to squashing it. So like it gets it, and it's a big thing in the fandom at this point, and squashing it at this point would probably not be the greatest.
Gotcha. I mean, I don't really know if Hasbro is like losing that much money from that. Like I don't really imagine. I mean, I feel like people who it might be sort of like the same reason for like why piracy doesn't necessarily like reduce sales, like people who are buying all the knockoff stuff probably wouldn't have bought like the actual toys anyway. So it's like almost non-existent,
Yeah.
But maybe it's not that way. Maybe it is a problem. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think it's that much of a problem. It's just a well accepted thing. My main disinterest is like I'm fine. I'm definitely fine with a lot of the main Hasbro product, and I'm good with waiting for that. And while a lot of the third-party stuff looks incredible, it's also very expensive.
Oh, so it's not cheaper necessarily.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, no. If it was cheap, it'd basically be a knockoff, even though like it's an original design. Knockoffs, you just take existing toys and just rehash it with crap plastic.
Gotcha.
Because they have to pay for their dedicated time and input into it, and knowing they're not having as wide of a range, they definitely have to make it more expensive.
Right.
But usually there's a lot more to them and a lot higher, at least good quality, to make it worth it to the people who buy it.
Gotcha. Okay. What's the next question?
Yes, the next question. Who are you most excited to see? Let's just keep going back and forth. Yep. So can talk next. Definitely for me, James Roberts and Alex Milne. James Roberts, if you don't know, he's the writer of the IDW comic book series Transformers More Than Meets the Eye and its sequel series Transformers Lost Light. For those, if you don't know James Roberts, he was also originally a fan fiction writer for the Transformers fandom and wrote like really high quality fan fiction, and then he came on to IDW as full-fledged, and like that's cool just to see a fan actually getting to write official work.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't read any of the comics, but I've heard that they're really good, and from what I've heard from you talk about it, it seems like there's a lot of really cool stuff that it's investigating, which is awesome.
Yes. And then Alex Milne is the predominant artist for More Than Meets the Eye. He didn't do everything, but he did a lot of it, and like I associate his style with the more than meets the eye and how it's supposed to look. When the series didn't necessarily get rebooted, just got rebranded into Lost Light, he was taken off. And the art style for Lost Light, while certainly good, is just not what I associate with this series. And it's the same series, but I have heard he is coming back and doing issues starting with issue 13, which will be coming out later this year.
Gotcha. That sounds really cool. So for me, as I've said with the events and echoing it, there's not really anyone amongst the guests that really strikes me as someone that I would recognize. The only one that I thought was notable was David Kay, who I believe either it's David Kay or Jack Angel. One of those two is the voice actor for Teddy from the 2001 movie AI, Artificial Intelligence. I don't know if anyone has seen that movie. I have. I find that funny that he's there. And I mean, these voice actors, most of the voice actors are only really well known for Transformers characters. Most of the characters that I've looked at when I looked at their filmography don't really have anything that I'm really associated with or really have much knowledge of. So that was the only one that really stuck out to me. So on the whole, I'd be interested in meeting them, but I'm not scrambling to meet them because I don't know them as well as maybe some other voice actors, or artists or illustrators or writers, any of those guys.
Yeah. Out of voice actors, I definitely would like to get Jack Angel's signature. I don't have any of their autographs or anything. I've never met any of these people, but considering how rare it's been to see Jack Angel at a convention, and also considering his advanced age,
yeah, you might want to get one.
I will definitely take my opportunity. Maybe I'll also try to get Neil Ross's signature since he's got an autograph photo combo that's a good price.
Yep.
But David Kay, as much as I would love to meet him, since all of the photographs for each of them are $25 a piece, from my understanding, and that's a little much to put on for 3 autographs.
Yeah.
And I'm certain I'll run in. I would if I keep going to conventions, I'll run into David Kay.
Oh
again,
yeah, I would imagine so.
Really want to meet him.
A lot of David Kay sounds like a voice actor who probably has done this a lot and probably would be at other conventions that aren't Transformers related too. So I mean, I think he's done a lot of anime dubbing as well. I know he was in Dragon. Isn't he the one who's in Dragon Ball Z? And Inuyasha?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
So because of that, I feel like he probably would get... Also, he's done a lot of Marvel stuff, correct? Yes. So at comic conventions, I imagine he would be there.
He's also done DC. Fun fact, he is the only person to play... Fun fact, despite being Canadian, he has played all 3 of Optimus Prime, Superman, and Captain America.
He's like one of those... he's like... who is his name? There's a reference I want to make, but it's escaping me, so I'll move past it. But okay. Let's just say that happens a lot, I think. What?
Sorry.
No, I thought you were going to say something. I didn't want to interrupt you.
No.
Okay.
I didn't want to interrupt you.
I see. But I've said my piece, so.
Yeah. Besides that, the other guests are all other comic artists, and while I've all definitely appreciated a lot of their art, the one I am most familiar with and most appreciative of is Alex Milne. All the other artists on here do amazing artwork. It's just Alex Milne is the one for me for TF Comics.
A match made in heaven.
I may, depending upon what kind of prints he's got, I'll probably end up buying a print from him.
I would not blame you for that. I mean, I've seen some of the artwork in the Transformers more than DCI comics, just from, there's a local comic book store where I live, and I've, passed by some of the issues. So I've seen the artwork for that comic, and it looks really wonderful. So, and I've also seen, pictures floating on Tumblr, whether you were blogging it or someone else. I have another person on my Tumblr who follows Transformers a lot, so periodically I get Transformers images and most of the comics stuff that I see is probably from More Than the Eye. So yeah, definitely a good artist.
Yeah. I mean, definitely other artists have worked on the series. Josh Bersham and Josh Perez have also been on More Than Meets the Eye. And they also do very good work. It's Milne.
No, I get.
Anyway, I've gone on long enough
He's
about
a
that.
fanboy. He's a huge fan. I'm just kidding.
Okay, so next question. What would you like to get at the convention?
So it's my turn now? Okay.
Yes.
So basically what I'm planning to buy, if anything, is going to be what I typically buy at most conventions I go to. There are like 3 to 4 things that I typically go for at conventions. One is cheap comics / video games. Video games is the one that I get more consistently because they tend to be at most conventions that I've been to. BookCon, I think, is the only convention I've ever been to where they didn't have someone who sold cheap video games. And maybe JCon, but I think JCon that year just didn't. Yeah, but anyway.
No, JCon did have some video games, and I remember I was looking at a Fire Emblem game for the DS, and then by the time I went back to get it, someone already bought it.
So I guess I just.
They didn't have a lot, but they had some.
Basically, most of the conventions that I've been to have had a video game vendor of some kind, and I imagine this kind of convention will have that as well. I'll also be looking for posters to get. I always like getting posters, whether they are Artist Alley ones or if it's, more official posters. That stuff I like to get. And then the third one is probably t-shirts. I always like getting t-shirts at conventions, whether it's a t-shirt of the convention or just a really nerdy t-shirt. I think for this convention, I'll probably just stick to a really nerdy t-shirt because even though I like to get convention t-shirts, I feel like since I'm not the biggest Transformers fan, getting a TFCon t-shirt might be misleading. Like, here's a shirt from a convention I went to, but only because, I thought, why not? And not because, I'm totally invested in Transformers. So I'm very particular about wearing things that I have knowledge with, I don't like to wear things that I don't have a lot of knowledge about, so shrug.
Wasn't there a particular video game you said if they've got video games there they're going to try to look for?
Two video games that I'm looking for. I guess 3 if I'm lucky. One is Sly Cooper Band of Thieves. My PS2 library is criminal in how little games I have for it, and I've been playing the PS2 for a long time, but only for PS1 games. I've been playing PS1 games on my PS2 for a long, long time, but I never actually got PS2 games, which is a sad, sad crime. But so because of that, I have been trying to slowly get more games for it, and since a lot of the greatest hits, from the PS2 era have since gone onto HD collections, they're really cheap at most places. So I'm looking to fill out my Sly Cooper series. I'm looking to complete the Jack trilogy, Jack and Daxter, I guess. And also, if I'm lucky, a Final Fantasy game for the PS1. But I doubt I'll find Final Fantasy VII anywhere because that game is just so popular and probably too expensive for me anyway. I'm also considering getting Final Fantasy Origins if I find it. I think because those are the 2 original Final Fantasy games. Mostly for Final Fantasy 1, the original one, not for Final Fantasy 2, because I've heard Final Fantasy 2 is, really crappy. So, but I might get it just to try it out. I mean, why not? In the past, I've gotten also just, I've bought weird games too. My most recent purchase was Mort the Chicken for the PS1. I have no idea what that game's about. I haven't played it yet, but I bought it because it was $5, and I was like, why not? Who knows what it will be? Maybe it's crap. Maybe it's not. Who knows? That's why I always like taking chances with games, because you never know. Especially when they're not full price on release, So that would be what I'm looking for video game wise. Poster and t-shirt wise, it'll depend on what they have.
if you need more to expand your library, there is a Transformers game for the PS2.
Oh, is there?
Yes, it's
Is it anything like Cubics? I have this really weird game called Cubics Racing Robots. I think it's like a based on a South Korean TV show or whatever. Is it anything like that? Do you know what that is? I don't.
No, as far as I know, no.
Okay.
I think it's been one of the better older Transformers games. Granted, there's not a whole lot of them. It's based on the Armada era, even though it's just called Transformers.
Ah, interesting.
So it's from like 2002 and that.
Well, maybe I will. Who knows? We'll see.
Oh, and a note for the viewers, if you have gone to TFCon in the past, we haven't, if that's not clear at all, from our convention list earlier. So we have absolutely no idea what to expect for like the dealer room or anything.
Yeah, because they for some reason didn't put a list of any of the vendors who are going, which, in my opinion, is like really frustrating because I like to know that information. If there's a vendor that I am familiar with from previous conventions, I'd like to know if they're there. But in this case, they don't have that list, which is
So Alyssa may just be disappointed because they only sell robots at this convention. We don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Robots and robot-related memorabilia, like posters and robot T-shirts.
Hey, maybe I'll get lucky. Maybe it was something Voltron related, and
maybe
then I would be at least marginally happy.
That one,
something I recognize. That
I would not be surprised. I would probably be more surprised if there wasn't something Voltron related at this convention.
Yeah.
But as for me, obviously my biggest interest in purchases for this convention will be toys. I'm also definitely into the t-shirts, so I'll probably end up getting a t-shirt or two, probably at least the TFCon t-shirt.
Oh yeah, I would imagine you'd get one of those.
Yes. But in terms of specific toys that I would like to get, everything. Can I just buy everything?
I wouldn't, unless you want to say goodbye to your wallet and living abilities, your state of living. Unless you want to sell your soul, maybe not.
What if I do? What if I
Don't
do want to sell
your
my
soul? Don't do that. Come on.
Okay. All right. So
if you did that, it would be a tragedy.
So since I can't sell my soul to get everything at the convention, I'll probably mainly look for the gaps that I have in the Titans Return toy line currently. I never ended up getting a rewind, so that's priority.
Yep.
Because he's such a big character in the IDW comics, and like, how do I not have a toy of Rewind yet?
Didn't you talk? You talk a lot about Rewind, I think, whenever you talk about the IDW comics. So I'm surprised you don't have it.
Same. They just never had it in stores. I just never went to a store that had it in stock, because out of his wave, he was the popular one, so he was gone first.
Yeah.
And just with how my purchases have been, I've just never gotten to the point of like, oh, I can go online and get him offline. So hopefully I'll find him there. I'll probably also try to look for Titans Return Voyager Galvatron, just really cheap, because while it's definitely a good character to get, the toy itself is not perfect and would definitely be subject to add-ons to make him better.
Would this be if you did a review on him, would it be your first scathing review?
Not scathing, just not recommended. Unless
reaching
you can,
new territory.
unless you're like $10-$15, I'm probably going to try to see if there's one loose there, $10-$15 that's complete, and I'm certain there probably is.
Okay.
I saw some people on TFW 2005 in the buy-sell trade area. One person was selling their Galvatron for $10, and I almost got it, but I had just bought something else, so I was like, I'll wait.
Gotcha.
Okay. No. Actually, I was considering getting something else, and then I saw that, and it was like back and forth, and then I tried to message. Then I saw someone else already had asked for it, so I'm like, oh, never mind.
Okay.
That's what happened.
I'm hopeful you'll get your chance at this convention.
Yeah. Besides that, just some of the more recent Times Return stuff that I haven't gotten yet. Also, I do, though, while I do want to make sure I get the Times Return stuff, I do really want to look at some more vintage stuff, especially this will probably be easier than getting it offline and paying for shipping and all of that. My focus is for that will probably be Transformers Cybertron stuff, because that was my first toy line, and I do have some gaps that I would like to rectify.
Okay.
Beast Wars, definitely. Probably not like the huge ones, not like, say, Optimus Primal or Megatron or the big Rampage or anything, but like some of the smaller guys that will probably go for cheaper, and just like, I just enjoy the Beast Wars aesthetic. And maybe some G1 Micromasters, because they're just small and like cool and kind of like mini cons, and I like the small, cute, kind of simple things. They're just fun. They're just easy. I'm definitely going to try to focus on more like amount of things purchased rather than their quality per se. Not like saying like the smaller stuff is bad, but like instead of getting like one toy for like say $100, I can get like 12 things for that price.
Yeah.
And I'd be more content with that.
Sounds like you've got a lot planned out. I'm just kind of, we'll see what happens. And you're like, I'm going to get this, I'm going to get this, I have this on my list. I'm just, it's interesting how different we are as far as how we're approaching this convention, which, I mean, makes sense.
Ooh, there's one special Beast Wars guy I want to get. Well, technically he's not from Beast Wars, but he's the Beast Wars mold. The Universe Striker, who he's just a funky toy. He's like a Stegosaur guy that also has like a plant disguise form. And I just find that's funny and hilarious, and maybe at some point I'll do a simple stop motion dubbing like Bumblebee, talking to that, but doing it from doing Little Shop of Horrors, the Feed Me Seymour song, and just like do a stop motion of that with those two.
Nice.
because I can totally hear Dan Gilvezan, Bumblebee's voice actor, voicing Bumblebee as Seymour from that, and I'm just like, yes, please. And
by the way, FYI, in case you did not know from the other podcasts / videos / anything related to this channel, SoundJack is a huge Broadway nerd, and you probably will find that out more. But now, but just beware. Just warning, huge Broadway nerd right now.
Besides Transformers, my fandoms that can compete for my favorite, but aren't my favorite because Transformers just rules, are Broadway and Pokemon, obviously, certainly.
Yes.
Those are the main ones. But we're getting off track a little bit. But
we are a little bit. That's fine. It was going to at some point.
Those were my main interest for purchases. So the next question, what are you apprehensive of?
Is it me or you?
I think it'd be me, but
okay.
if you
you take it. You take it.
Okay.
Go for it.
I'm just more so apprehensive of like going and trying to meet people and like getting into the crowd. That's kind of what I'm apprehensive about. Just like I said, I don't really know like a whole lot of Transformers fans, and I'm hoping to meet some, but I'm also a very socially awkward type of person, so I don't know like how well that's going to go over, and if like I'm actually going to like meet people or make friends or anything like that with this convention. So that's kind of what I'm apprehensive about.
I mean, if anything, you definitely already have a common interest sort of there, like,
yeah,
there you go. It's very few people are going to be there who aren't Transformers fans. Like, I am a very large exception to the crowd of people who's going to be there. I think I have two apprehensions or worries, I guess. One is obviously related to what I just said. As someone who is not a Transformers fan, if they don't have general stuff or more general stuff, if they don't have more general stuff, then I'm probably going to be a bit bored a little bit. But I'm hoping that won't be the case. I think I'll still find interesting things. I think I'll still find stuff like, cosplay and like other stuff that are good in other conventions enjoyable. My other worry is the potential gender ratio at this convention. I don't know how many guys versus girls are going to be there. I have a feeling it's going to be mostly men. And while I guess most conventions have men in them, I feel like the other conventions that I've been to have a more even split with gender. But this is probably one of the only times I've been to a convention that is like not necessarily like marketed towards boys, I guess. So we'll see how that goes. I'm hoping it won't be that bad, and I'm optimistic that it won't be like an egregious situation, but it will be an adjustment because I think most of the other conventions I've been to, that hasn't been as much of a like. It hasn't been something that's been on my mind, but now I've been thinking, oh wait a minute, there might not be as many women there. What? That'll be that'll be different. So.
Yeah, I don't know that either.
Yeah, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see when we get there is the real answer to the question.
Yes, we will. Okay, so the next question, what do you like most about going to conventions?
So for me... What?
Technically, this would be me, but you go ahead.
Okay.
No, it would be you. I'm sorry.
Wow. No, it's okay.
I lost track of the numbers, okay?
I know, it's okay. I'm just teasing you. I promise. So, for me, what I look forward to most about conventions really depends on what convention I'm going to. Like, for example, when I went to BookCon, the biggest thing that I was really excited about was, like, some of the celebrities that were going to be there, like Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Bill
Bill Nye the Science Guy. You know, just because I love books, that was, like, the big thing. So, like, buying books was the thing I wanted to do. You know, when I went to, a lot of times I go to anime conventions, you know, unless there's a huge anime that I've been watching a lot of or whatever, I typically am only there for the gaming stuff, or the cosplay has always been a big interest of mine, you know, whether I'm cosplaying or other people. Typically other people have better cosplays than me, so I'm always interested in that, and the impressive costumes that I see at conventions. NYCC is perfect for that. There are some amazing cosplays that I've seen at NYCC and other conventions, and it's just like, how? And yeah, so those are the things that really are interesting and exciting to me about conventions. But like I said, it really depends on what convention I'm going to, what the like demographic is, or like if it's a comic convention or a video game convention or an anime convention, you know, like that'll probably direct my interests. But on the whole, I'm there for the experience, I'm there for the merchandise, and I'm there for, you know, sometimes I'm there for the guests, depending on who's there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, it's a lot. My interests are like just going to the convention, because conventions, especially like before I actually went to conventions, just seemed to like a lot of fun and just like doing nerdy things that I like and all of that. But more specifically, it is quite fun to see a lot of the cosplays.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yes, and it's just seeing all the people interested and all of that. I'm very general about it, but like I just like a lot about the conventions, and I like them in concept, and I like everything about them in concept. There's not a whole lot that I'm like, yes, this is absolutely why I go to conventions. But I do like them in general, and I'd say if I had to pick a specific thing, the cosplays are the best thing to see at the conventions, though.
Yeah, definitely.
Though certainly fun to meet people at the conventions, especially famous people, which brings us to our next question.
Oh, segue!
Yay!
See that segue rolling around? It's very, very purposefully placed. And yes, I know that segue and segue are two different words. Yeah. Don't worry.
So the next question is, what celebrities have you met? So now it's my turn.
It is.
Okay. At JCon, I met the voice actress for Jessie.
Oh.
Yeah.
John Cusack?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Jessie from Team Rocket.
Oh, Oh, I thought you meant Jesse from Toy Story. I'm like, Joan Cusack?
No. But yeah.
Why did I immediately go to Joan Cusack? I don't know. Because I was like, that's a huge name actor. How did TFCon get a Hollywood actor? Like, what? And maybe if you're at Comic-Con, that would have been a more believable story, but I was like, what?
Yeah.
Oh my god. My apologies. She was
at the first TFCon, and like I didn't actually meet him, but oh crap! Now I'm forgetting his name. He was Richard someone. Hold on. While I'm looking him up, besides that, we've also I haven't really met anyone. Jessie from Team Rocket's voice actress was one I definitely met in person. Oh wait, we met him together at Anime Next.
Yes.
And who was he?
Todd Haberkorn.
Todd Haberkorn.
He's the voice actor for Death to Kid. One of the Hitachi twins from Ouran High School Host Club, but which one it is escaping me. I think it's Hikaru, but that might be wrong. I think he's also the voice actor for no, he's not in RWBY. For some reason, Vic Mignogna's there. Someday he'll be in it. I have no doubts that he will at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a very popular anime dubber. So if you've watched a lot of anime, you've probably seen an anime that has him in it.
Yeah. The guy I was thinking of was Richard Epcar, who is a huge anime dubber. Doing Batu and Ghost in the Shell, the hero of Bo, and a bunch of those types of people. He did a little bit on Transformers, though mostly he worked on episode scripts in Transformers, but he was at JCon, so that was neat. Again, I haven't personally... Oh, wait. The only other time, and it wasn't at a convention, was I met Robert Cuccioli because I did a theater summer camp, and what they did was they did bring in a famous person every year. Well, for a while. They kind of stopped towards the end when I was going. But Robert Cuccioli performed with us on the stage, and if you don't know him, he was the originator of the role of Jekyll and Hyde in the Broadway musical. And besides that, how did I forget this? The university I went to, I studied theater at college, and every 3 years they bring in a famous Broadway name, but it's a really big name. The year before we got there, because we graduated the same year, they brought in Stephen Sondheim himself.
Holy crap, they did? I had no idea. Wow, that's a huge name. I know that name.
Yes.
What? Oh my god.
But the person that I met through this thing was Angela Lansbury.
I'm still jealous that you met her. I'm so jealous, but at the same time really happy for you. So
I hope the people listening know at least something she's done, as she's been voiced Mrs. Potts in the Beauty and the Beast movie, and is the one that sung the song. But she's also done a lot of Broadway stuff. The main one she's done so much. The main one I can think of off the top of my head is she played Mrs. Lovett in Sweeney Todd.
Yep.
And she was also in the TV show Murder, She Wrote.
Yep.
Those are her main things. And I definitely met her in person, and because we got to eat, there was a special dinner at the house of our university's president where all the theater people got to meet and talk to her and shake hands, and that was so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I heard a lot about that when you were talking about it to me. And she sounds as wonderful as I would imagine she would be.
She was so nice.
Oh my god. Celebrities that are really nice and warm just make my heart melt.
Granted, I have heard stories of Stephen Sondheim not being the kindest.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes that happens.
Yeah. But that's getting definitely off track. Who have you met? What
So,
celebrities have you met,
convention-wise,
Alyssa?
I haven't met too many celebrities outside of conventions. Probably the biggest celebrity I've personally talked to is Todd Haberkorn. Since Michael and I were at the same, it was at the same convention, we saw him at the same panel, and we got to meet him and take photos with him, and that was really cool. As far as celebrities I've actually seen, I think the most famous one was Bill Nye the Science Guy. He had a panel at BookCon because he was promoting a new book series that he's doing with an author whose name escapes me because he's up and coming, so I don't remember exactly what his name is. But I was really hyped for that because Bill Nye is amazing. I love science and oh my gosh, really cool. As far as other people I've met, I haven't actually met them. I've seen Jessica Flowers, I think her name is. She's the voice actress for Toph from Avatar: Last Airbender. So she actually at the panel I was at, she actually got to read as Toph some scenes from an upcoming comics, one of the Dark Horse comics for the Avatar: Last Airbender universe, and that was so cool. I love that. And then I also got to see, I didn't meet him, but John Wesley Shipp was at the most recent convention I was at, Garden State Comics Fest. And he's currently on the Flash TV show as the Flash's dad. And he actually used to play the Flash in an earlier Flash TV show. So it's kind of funny because he's the Flash's dad and he played the Flash in the past. And he technically also plays a Flash in the show, but I won't explain that because that's not related. And then the other celebrity I met is Christopher Bevins. I actually met him outside of a panel event. He was just walking around the convention center, and I was dressed as a character that he voice acted. So he was like, "Oh my gosh!" and he took a picture of me, and then he introduced himself as the voice actor, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" But I didn't get to talk to him, and it was really upsetting. For those of you who don't know, Christopher Bevins, I think his most notable role is as Yasuhiro Hagakure, or Hiro from Danganronpa. And the fact that he's that character just makes me laugh so much because Yasuhiro is such an oddball. But yeah, so those are all of the people that I've met at conventions, I think.
Yeah. We're kind of running out on the time I want to do, so let's make sure these next questions are a bit quick.
Sure.
But next question we have, what has been your best purchase at a convention?
Okay. You go? Or which?
It's your turn.
Oh, it's my turn. My turn. Okay,
yes.
Sorry. So for
You're good.
me, I think my best purchase was probably some of the video games I've got. Typically how I rate my purchases is through pricing, and I've gotten 2 video games. I've gotten Kingdom Hearts 1 and Sly Cooper for under $25, which is such a steal. I think the other really cool purchases was some posters that I have. I have this one poster. I still love this poster. It's of Professor Layton, which is one of my favorite video game series. And one of the series, The Unwound Future, is about time travel. So they made a Back to the Future mock-up poster with Professor Layton getting out of his Layton-mobile, but as the DeLorean. It's hard to describe what this poster looks like, but it's perfect. And it's one of those posters that I was lucky to get. And it was just from some artist made it, and I love it. It's my favorite poster that I have in my collection, and yeah.
I think my best purchase I've made so far, I feel like I'm probably gonna get something that will top this
Probably.
at TFCon
Yeah.
somehow. But so far, I'd have to say it was a poster I got from JCon of an artist doing a stained glass window of the Twitch Plays Pokemon.
Oh yeah, yes, I've seen that poster. That is a good poster.
It is a very good poster. Not big or anything, but it's a good poster. Besides that, I also enjoyed well, I knew about it, but I got it at TFCon at BookCon. Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope in Shakespeare.
Yes. That series is really funny, and it's really interesting because it shows how space operas or similar stuff like Star Wars can really lend themselves to Shakespeare. So
yeah. Okay, next question. Have you cosplayed before? Yes, I have. Only once, and it was as Shiroi from Code no, Code Geass. Wow, hold on.
No, I don't think from Code Geass. I've
Wait,
never
no,
seen Code Geass, but that I don't think that's a character from that show.
hold on. No, it's not. What am I thinking of? Wow, I'm blanking. I love this show. They stopped the show after the second season, so that's why I'm forgetting. It's an anime. It was 2 seasons, and it was about people getting sucked into this Log Horizon. There we go.
Yes, I actually have the light novel for that anime. I haven't read it yet, but yes, I recognize that name.
How did I forget that?
I don't know.
I'm so upset that anime stopped after the second season.
Oh, R.I.P.
I mean, at least I haven't heard anything about it, and the last I heard anything, it sounded like they're not making any more of it, or at least it's going to be a long time until they do.
You can't see my face, but I am currently pretending I'm drawing tears down my cheeks. I understand that feeling though. There have been a lot of times where you have shows. It's like you had so much hope for it, and then it just went down, and then you're like, oh, why did this have to happen? So for me, I have cosplayed. I've cosplayed more than Michael has. I'm not gonna list all the characters that I've cosplayed as, but when I was younger, I did cosplays from anything from My Little Pony to anime-related stuff. I think my most recent cosplay was Vileplume from Pokemon, obviously. And I don't know if I'll be able to do it, but I'm planning to do a Pokemon for Comic-Con. I'm thinking Klefki, but I don't know if I'll do something different or not. We'll see how that works. But yeah, I have, is the answer. I will say, though, that as someone who has really long hair, or longer hair than... It's really average length, to be honest. But as someone who has, hair on their head, it's hard to do some cosplays because wigs get in the way, and it's, really problematic. Oh, I forgot. My most common cosplay is Merida, because my hair works for it really well. And I have a Merida dress and a bow and arrow that I'll wear to certain conventions, just because it's easy. I just put on the costume and I just go.
And she hasn't even seen Brave.
That's actually not true. I watched it. I've watched it now.
You finally watched it?
I finally watched Brave.
How long did it take you since you first put on the Merida costume?
That's a good question. 5 years? 4 years? It was a long time. Yeah, I watched it this year is when I finally watched Brave.
Good.
It took me a while, but I finally did it. And I enjoyed it. Not my favorite Pixar movie, but, still good. Still enjoyable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. The last question. What is your best convention pro tip for a first-timer?
Is this me first? Or you first?
Yes.
Okay, so biggest thing is come prepared. Have all your money. Try to sort of, because it's really easy to binge or to impulse buy at a convention, I think, especially if you're really into everything. So I would say either A, make a list of things, or B, have a certain amount of money that you're willing to spend and don't spend past that. If you bring just as much money as you have, it can be really easy to spend. That's why I always also encourage for conventions to use cash. Don't use credit cards, because it can be really easy to lose track of how much money you're spending, and that can get really difficult.
Yeah, I feel like I may have that problem this time. Hopefully not. I'm sure I'll be controlled enough, but...
Yeah, that's my biggest thing. Other thing is, I would say don't eat at conventions. A lot of times the actual food court has very overpriced food and isn't actually that good. I would either bring your own food or go to a restaurant that's sort of around the area. That would be another thing. Also, if you're dressing up and doing cosplay, try to do cosplays that are appropriate for the weather. That's something that I found out. I know, and it works both ways. Like either whether it's a like, skimpier, lighter outfit for the winter time. Don't do that. That one I think is a little easier if it's like an indoor convention and like weather doesn't really matter too much. The worst part is thick clothing in hot weather. When we went to Anime Next, we had people who were dressed in like full body costumes or like really thick costumes, and some people got heat stroke because they weren't hydrating themselves and they weren't taking breaks. So just be mindful of the weather where you're going, especially if the convention has components outdoors. You do want to dress for the weather, even if it's a costume, I think. I think those are the biggest things. There might be some, but I'll leave some for you too, if you have any advice for people.
My biggest thing with my personal experience is either A, go to a smaller convention first, then work your way up, or B, go with someone else. Those
are very good. That's very
especially good. Someone that's like has convention experience, because you especially going to a larger convention first, you could totally get lost in the crowd. You can get like confused about where you're going. Be a bit overwhelming, especially if you're the type of person that would get overwhelmed in such a situation. And it's also just more fun to be with people going in.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think conventions are a lot of fun when you're with multiple people. I mean, they can be fun by yourself if you know what you're doing. But sometimes it's better to be with other people. But it really depends on what kind of experience you want.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's all of the questions.
Cool.
So thank you for joining me today, Alyssa.
Of course. I'm always happy to be here talking about nerdy things. That's like my jam. And I'm always cool to come back. Good to come back.
And I hope any of you out there are watching this that are going to I hope some of you out there listening to this will be going to the convention, and hopefully to see you there. Yeah. Like I mentioned at the start of this, there will also be a vlog related to the convention. It will probably come out like the week or so after the convention, just so I have enough time to edit it. But like probably the day after the convention is all over, there will probably be like a recap of the entire convention, going over what our thoughts were of that and whatever we got. But yeah, so more of TFCon to come on this channel. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, please like and share the video and subscribe to the channel. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at SoundJack426. Also, please consider donating on my Patreon page to help support the channel. All the links will be in the description below. Thanks for tuning in. This is SoundJack and Alyssa signing off.